Hello everyone and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. I've got an absolute feature-packed daily ramble for you today. Sorry I'm not in the office. I'm out on the road today, so I've literally pulled over half an hour just to put this this video together for you. Now, as always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Help us reach that 10k before Christmas. And don't forget, drop a like on the video. And if you like your tea and coffee, who don't like tea and coffee, pop over to the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. Use our discount code Claret25 and you'll get a 25% discount up until the 5th of December, I think it is. It's their Black Friday sale. Right now, look, there's loads to get through today. There really is. Where to start? So as we know, go back a couple of weeks, obviously, we broke the news that there's been a restructure at the club with Tim Steidten and David Moyes. That was kind of poo-pooed initially and then later clarified. And that's from the source that I'm going to go on to talk about later on, that has given me some more news on the stories that have been circulated just recently from the usual suspects. Because as we know, Jim White broke. He said that he spoke to his senior source, and he said that the message that he got was that it was unlikely that David Moyes was going to be offered a new contract at the end of the summer. That was when we was off the back of 4 defeats, and it was Sullivan was doing his usual, flapping his gums. And then what's happened is we've obviously won that. We've beat Olympiacos. We've beat Forest. You know, we've scraped through. And now what they're doing is they're coming out via Claret and Hugh and everything else, and they're kind of backtracking. Sullivan's backtracking. So I can only assume that what was originally a very bad idea, let's face it, you know, the story that Sullivan peddled via Jim White was a bad idea. Because if you're going to stick with David Moyes for a few months or the rest of this season, to release a story after 10 games or 11 games to say that you no longer back this guy and that he's gone at the end of the season was a bad idea. So what they're doing now is they're setting out on a charm offensive to put this straight, to put this right. That's what they're doing. And I spoke to you-know-who yesterday. I've spoken to a few people. But the obvious one I spoke to last night. And apparently Sullivan has come out and basically he's refuted all of these claims now. And he said, look, we haven't made a decision yet. And we will be talking to David Moyes before the end of the season, not at the end of the season. We'll be talking to him before the end of the season, but no decision has been taken yet. So they're backpedaling and backtracking on the stories that were peddled just a week or two ago. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because, like I say, if you're going to back a manager anyway, it makes perfect sense to back them. If you're going to have them see out the rest of this season, for us to sort of finish as well as we can, that manager's got to have as much support as possible. And what they did wasn't supporting him at all. You know, that was kind of setting him up like a lamb to the slaughter, really. If he's got players within that system, within that structure that are already not kind of compliant with him, that wasn't going to help anyone. So it looks like they're going to try and backtrack on that. And you can see the charm offensive as well, because there's been stories out there that have been peddled about Paqueta, how he now sees David Moyes as a father figure, and all that nonsense as well. And I've got some information on that as well as we move on through this, because I've kind of got some clarification on that. But after that conversation, it led me to reach out to the source that gave me the information originally about Steidten and Moyes and the way it's been restructured. Now, look, this is, as I say, this is not information that I can clarify, because this is the only source that I've got on this side of things. So I kind of, you know, I'm at his mercy. You know, there isn't really too much that I can do. So it's down to you whether you choose to believe it or not. But his hit rate's been pretty good. I've got to be honest. He's been absolutely bang on. And I've basically reached out to him and said, look, what's going on? You know, have they done a full circle again? He said, no. He said, look, we all know that David Sullivan's a bit of a diverer. We know he's renowned for it. He changes his mind all the time. But he said basically what's happened is there is a strategy in place at West Ham now. His words were, he said he doesn't know. He said he doesn't know, but he said, unlike when I last spoke to him, he said, I do know now that they know who the next guy is going to be. So in the summer, it sounds like there's already a pre-agreed deal for the next manager. And again, this is going to feed into other bits and pieces that we're going to go on to talk about shortly. But apparently it's already been agreed. But he doesn't know who it is. You know, he said you won't know until until he's appointed, because I'm assuming he's already at another club. So that name isn't going to get out at all. But he said, and also what he said is he said he's been led to believe that even if it goes catastrophically wrong for David Moyes, this player won't be joining until the summer. So he must be in another job. So we would have to get a caretaker manager in, or use what we've already got in John Heitinger. But what he said is that there is a bit of a ruthless strategy in place, and the club have forecast what could be a disastrous couple of months coming up. Now, I've already touched on December, said that we've got 10 games between Burnley and Arsenal, which is like a 33-game period. There's 10 games there. So you're looking at a 3 to 4 day rest between games, and they're all competitive, you know, because of what David Moyes did in Olympiacos. Now we're going to be fighting tooth and nail in the to win the group stage now in the Europa. So every single game there is going to be competitive. So the Premier League games are tough as well. They can see problems in December. They can see problems starting in December. We're going to have bans. We're going to have players that will probably get injured, you know, nailed on to get injured. But then beyond that, in January, they're expecting it to get a whole lot worse when the AFCON comes, because, well, it's not just AFCON. It's the transfer window. Now, from what I've been told, we're going to be looking at offloading any players that are not signing new contracts. It can't be either not wanted or players that we do want, but they're coming towards the end of their contract. We're not going to let them go for free. We're going to try and get rid of them and make money on them in January, even if it leaves us short. Because the thought is that we're in no risk whatsoever of getting relegated. I mean, and we're not. If you look at that bottom three, I think 20 points would keep you safe this year. So you're almost at no risk of relegation. So even if it leaves us short, they'll do whatever they need to do to get rid of the players, so we don't lose them. So we don't lose them for nothing. You know, they'll go out and get 3, 4, 5 million for players that might be worth a whole lot more. But at the end of the day, you know, you're not using them. Do you want to lose them for nothing? Players like Fornells, players like Ben Johnson, players like Ings, I think they'll try and move on, even though I think we'd have to pay someone to take Ings. But then we have got AFCON to consider as well, when there's some massive players going out there. You know, Aguer, Kudus, and if Kudus is going, you'd look to his backup that you would think would be Ben Rama or Cornet. They're going as well. So there's huge problems coming, and January is almost just as congested. And it's a long tournament. You know, you're looking at, I mean, Ghana and Morocco, you would imagine, would be considered to probably go quite a long way. They could be gone for up to 5 weeks. So you've got 2 months there in December and January, which are horrific. They're going to be horrific for David Moyes. And Tim Schneiderlin had no, what I've been told, the strategy is that Tim Schneiderlin had no intention whatsoever of bringing a new manager in midway through the season, because we've kind of forecast what could be very difficult. We have started this season better than we anticipated because we won those games early on. But where we are as a team, we're kind of, we're not expected to do very well over the next few months. And the last thing that Tim Schneiderlin wanted to do, or David Sullivan, was get rid of David Moyes, bring the next guy in and make it look like an absolute catastrophe, which you could imagine it would have. If we'd have got rid of David Moyes now and then brought the new guy in, and he's got to work with this, you know, new group of players with basically no time on the training field, none. You know, you're literally going from game to game to game to game. It's game recovery. You're not going to have any time to embed a new philosophy at all. So it would be an awful start for any new manager. So from what I've been told, even if David Moyes has a terrible December, he'll get January as well. He will get January. And it's not just them setting out to be nasty, because there is some sense in it as well, because what they're saying is they think that David Moyes knows this group better than anyone else. And even if we are down to the bare bones and we're struggling, if anyone can kind of grind out and shit out some unlikely wins, it's probably him. It's probably him at this stage. So he is going to be here throughout the January window as well. So there ain't going to be a new manager before. But what they could do is they could move beyond that. So if after December and January, if they go as badly as everyone fears, then David Moyes could move on after that, because we could bring in John Heitinger to come in and run till the end of the season. This guy didn't say that. He didn't mention John Heitinger's name. That's me. But he said it's a bit of a ruthless strategy, because he said, You know, and apparently David Moyes is aware of all this as well. You know, he's not. He said David Moyes is not kept in the dark on this, but he said he's so full of self-belief and defiance, he just doesn't care, and he's not going to walk away from money, however little it is. So I think it's getting a bit personal now with Sullivan and Moyes. There isn't all of this nonsense with Sullivan. You know, he's loyal. He's loyal to managers. It's got nothing to do with it. Basically, with David Sullivan, he cares about his reputation and his reputation alone. When we won that title, if he'd have got rid of David Moyes and then the next manager hadn't have pushed on, he would have got slaughtered in the press, and he can't live with that. So he was kind of forced into retaining Moyes. And, you know, the only curveball that could happen in all of this is that if David Moyes, by some miracle, goes on to win another trophy this year, because in the league we're going to do nothing, all right? I know we're sitting 9th at the moment, but forget that. You're going to be looking at 12th and downwards. You are. When you look at the run that we've got coming up, we're not doing anything in the league this year. We're not getting anywhere near European qualification. I know we're only 3 points off, whatever it is, 8th, but look, that's not going to happen. But what we do know is that David Moyes is kind of all right at knockout football now. So he could throw a few surprises. I mean, we've got Liverpool coming up as well. Liverpool have got a similar fixture list to us. You know, they've got games every 3 and 4 days. They're not going to throw the game like what Arsenal did, because Arsenal are just fucking gash, aren't they? They will want to win that at home because momentum is key. But I doubt we'll face a full-strength Liverpool. So if anyone's probably got a chance of getting something there, we probably have, because we have got the players as well, don't forget, we have. So there is every chance that David Moyes could again throw a spanner in the works for Steiten and Sullivan and me. No, I'd love another trophy, but I'm ready to move on from this now. I think we all are, and the club definitely. I don't know where that would leave Steiten. I don't think Steiten would want to continue coexisting in this situation now. But let me know what your thoughts are on that anyway, because do you think it's the right thing to do? Do you think we should have just cut ties? Or do you think the way that Steiten is playing this is the right way? Personally, I do think it's the right way. The more I think about it, if I was Steiten, I would want to make sure that, because he's going to be judged on his next appointment, I would want to make sure that it's the perfect scenario for my guy to come in, you know. And it's not going to be before the end of the season. He's official guy. I don't think anyway, from what I've been told. And we don't know who it is. I don't know who it is, honestly. No idea. I don't know. But there are some transfer links out there that do point to the new direction that we might be going in. Now, look, listen, I'm going to talk about Xabi Alonso again. Now, if you look at what Leverkusen are doing this year, a lot of that is because it's a very young team. But the best bit of business that Xabi Alonso did was he overhauled the middle of the park, the engine room he did, and that was all driven by Granit Xhaka, bringing in an experienced general in central midfield. You know, he's come in. Granit Xhaka's breaking all the stat records in Germany at the moment. He is absolutely phenomenal in Leverkusen's team, and that was Alonso's main pick. Well, a player that I kind of now bear in mind that this guy that I talked to, he isn't kind of he's not an ITK that gives you loads of transfer news or anything like that, but he has said that he's taken a bit of interest in this and he has been asking questions. Now, a really interesting and completely out there link that we've got is Leon Goretzka from Bayern Munich. You know, Germany international, fucking phenomenal central midfielder. 28, 29, similar sort of profile to Granit Xhaka, but a leader, someone that could come in and completely and utterly transform our central midfield. We're linked with him in the summer, heavily linked. It's in a Spanish and a French sports outlet, and Italian as well. Now, where would that come from? Bayern Munich? You know, I think at the end of the season he's only got 1 year left, and the prices quoted are quite high, but I don't think we need to worry about that. But apparently there is something in that. This player has definitely been identified. When I mentioned this name to this guy, he said yes. He said this one kind of pricked my attention as well, and he sort of sought clarification. Apparently he is a target. He ain't going to be a target for Moyes, not Leon Goretzka. This is a top level kind of statement signing. It really is. And I'm told that we will be looking at overhauling the engine room as well in the summer. There's going to be massive changes. I have made notes on this one, so I don't lose track. So bear with me. Now look, the rumour that we don't have any money in the January transfer window, look, that's completely false. Anyone with a fucking calculator can work that out. You know, we made more than we spent in the summer. We haven't spent the Skamaka money yet, and we are going out there. We are going to be looking for a new striker. That is going to happen in the summer. Whether that's a loan, I mean, we're linked with the likes of Timo Werner, and I'd love Werner. Give us absolute pace. I know he's not the most clinical, or he hasn't been. Well, he was before he went to Chelsea. You know, when he was at RB, he was a brilliant striker, but he's rapid and he's exactly what we would need, especially in January when you're losing Kudus and you're losing Benrahma. That would be an amazing signing. We're linked with him on loan, but yeah, like going back to that point, the rumours that we've got no money is nonsense. What we're looking at doing is consolidating and spending as little as possible in this window, because we're going to want to go hard in the summer. That's what's going to happen. So we're basically getting all of our ducks in a row. We're selling all of the players that are coming towards the end of their contracts, and there's going to be a big rebuild in the summer, but a positive rebuild, and that's all in motion now. You know, these lists are being drawn up. We know who we're going to be approaching. We know who we're going for. There are many considerations. I mean, in the Premier League, you know, a 25-man squad, you're only allowed to name 17 overseas players. And if you name 17, you've got to have 8 homegrown players. Well, I think we've got 7 homegrown players at the minute. And the way that I've looked at it, at the end of this, if you look at Johnson's going to be moving on, Antonio possibly, Ings, Cresswell, all of these players, we're going to have 2 left. We're going to have Flynn Downs. No, well, Flynn Downs will probably move on, but we're going to have James Ward-Prowse and Jared Bowen as homegrown players. So what that does is that opens up a massive gap for youth players to burst through as well, because we have to have 8. There's got to be 8 in the squad. So by shipping all of those boys out, that leaves a big gap for emerging talent as well. But like I say, there's also going to be a big space in the what do you call it, in the foreign element of the squad as well, because quite a few will be going. Urog Bonners, Tilo Kehrer will probably go as well. There's quite a few, so we'll probably be able to bring in sort of 4, 5, 6 overseas players as well. So it's going to be a completely different looking team next year. But yeah, going back to what I said, when you look at sort of Leon Goretzka, I went way off topic there. I don't know what happened, but when you look at Leon Goretzka, could it be the fact that we are looking at Xabi Alonso? Could it be that the new manager is working with Tim and looking at what we're doing at the moment and going, yeah, we need to address this. I want that player. He's in the Bundesliga at the moment. He's got links with Bayern. Leon Goretzka wouldn't come in for Will Still. I would say that, you know. And Xabi Alonso is a big name. So Xabi Alonso would probably want a big name, and a big name would probably want a manager of the profile of Xabi Alonso. So I'm putting 2 and 2 together here. You know, I'm probably coming up with 10. But it is a strange link. You know, nobody would just make that up. Nobody would. So it is very odd. Right, moving on to stadium sponsors. I'm sure you've all seen the story that's been put out there that Allianz are leading the race for the long overdue naming rights for the London Stadium. They're leading the race. And from what I've been told, I mean, the only bit that really interests us, I've got to be honest, is how much are we going to get out of it. Apparently, whatever the deal is, the LLDC get 4 million, the first 4 million. Beyond that, it's a 50% split between us and the LLDC. So it's not a great deal. If it's a 10 million deal, you know, we end up getting 3 million out of it. It might be more than that. I don't know, but it's still a good thing. I mean, I've never really warmed to the London Stadium name anyway. I've just seen on another channel that there's that fear that we've got that label now and that nobody will call it anything else. I don't think that's the case with that place. You know, you're not talking Upton Park, Anfield and Old Trafford, are you? If it became the Allianz Arena, I'd be absolutely fine with that. I'd call it the Allianz Arena. It wouldn't bother me. And I think this probably all could be tied in with the other news that in and around Stratford, you're looking at the Madison Square Garden Group, MSG. They're looking at building the MSG Sphere, similar to what they've just developed in Las Vegas as well. Fucking massive, technical monstrosity. But I'm sure it's been signed off. or it's on the verge of being signed off. And if and when that does happen, that's going to bring in so much money to that area. Absolutely huge. And MSG, from what I've been told, are going to be completely redeveloping the roadway and the transport systems as well in and around it. So it's going to make it better for West Ham fans, way better. But it's going to make that area even more attractive than what it already is. So that's probably why naming rights for that stadium is all of a sudden becoming a little bit more of a thing. You know, there is a race for it now, apparently. But yeah, it is good. I don't know whether or not, because obviously we all thought that we was going to get given that stadium at some point. We know that that stadium's run at a loss every year. Well, this is only going to kind of, you know, ease that burden on the LLDC. So it might make it a little bit more of a tough deal to negotiate if whoever buys this stadium, buys this club next, does want to buy the stadium. It might make that negotiation a little bit tougher. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm not really worried about that anyway. Moving on to the last bit of news, and this is some general Premier League news. We've just seen that Everton have got a 10-point ban for their breaches in FFP or whatever it is. But they've got a 10-point ban in the Premier League, which has put them into the relegation zone. I've got to be honest, I still think they're going to piss safety this year. I think if there was ever a season whereby you was going to get 10 points deducted, this would be it. I've never seen a worse bottom three. They're awful. Like I said, I think 20 points will see you safe this year. I can't see those teams getting 20 points. Everton will pull clear of that relatively easily, I would have thought. I mean, look, you don't know. Anything can change, but I can't see it. I mean, a few of those teams, they might scrape draws every now and then. You know, your Burnleys, your Sheffield Uniteds, your Lutons, but they're not going to win many games, are they? They're just not going to. So yeah, it's horrible for Everton, but I think they've had a bit of a lucky one that it's being done this season. The other one's Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta has been given a ban from PGMOL. How funny is that? It's funny in one respect because I hate Arsenal and I hate Arteta, but at the same time, I think it's being run as a bit of a dictatorship now, the Premier League and the officiating. I think the guy was interviewed after a game, being fair to him. Interviewed after a game, he felt hard done by. He came out and he was honest, and he's been absolutely slammed and thrown under the bus by the PGMOL. And it's not fair, really, when you look at it. You know, the amount of teams that have suffered at the hands of that organisation this year. Wolves have lost loads of points. Liverpool and Arsenal are in a fucking title race. You know, losing 3 points is a massive deal to them. So these guys are under pressure. They're going to come out. They're going to be frustrated when this governing body that runs the officiating side get it wrong. And I honestly thought that when it started affecting Liverpool and Arsenal, when you saw Arteta and Klopp come out, I thought it might be something that triggers a process that would benefit us all, and it would sort this mess out, and we would start seeing better officiating. But no, it's not going to happen. It's being run like fucking Korea with Kim Jong-un at the head of PGMOL, and no one's allowed to say anything clearly. So yeah. It is what it is. But look, let me know what your thoughts are anyway on this situation. So nothing has changed, basically, apart from the fact that David Moyes is definitely here through December and January. Do you think it's fair? Do you think they should have put him out of his misery? Do you think we should have been braver? Do you think that we should have gone out and just got rid of him and tried to get a new guy in now? Or can you understand it from Tim Starton and David Sullivan's thought process, whereby they're going, no. I mean, also as well, if David Moyes does crash and burn through December and January, let's face it, he ain't going to be leaving a fucking high bar, is he? For the next guy that comes in the league. The last 2 seasons are going to have been catastrophic. So he's gone 6th, 7th. He's gone all the way down. He's completely fucked it. So it's not going to be difficult for a guy to come in. I know we won the cup. I'll do that one. I'll do that little one again. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let me know your thoughts on it all anyway. And like I say, I'm taking these Leon Goretzka links and Timo Werner. I'm still thinking Xabi Alonso. I am. I might be getting carried away. But if you start getting links with names like that, like I say, Will Still, who we was all talking about, I can't see Leon Goretzka coming and working for Will Still. But we shall see what happens. Anyway, look, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. I don't know how that's come out. Oh, where's the button? There it is. All right. Speak to you soon. Get your heads.